Okay, I'm done. So it's been a while, but ever since we ended the most recent season of Doctor Who, I said I was going to do more Doctor Who videos, more ranking videos talking about Doctor Who, whatever. But I've been busy and all that. But you know what? Now we're finally here, and I think it's time to start actually getting into some more Doctor Who. And we're starting off strong. We're starting off clean. We're going to start off with my top ranking of the Doctors. Now, should note, as you'll see in this list very quickly, and I'll probably be ranking probably label it New Era Doctors. I am only ranking the New Era Doctors from 9 to 15. I am also, at least for now, not going to be including side doctors. I'm not going to be including John Hurt's War Doctor, and I'm not going to be including, say, the Fugitive Doctor or any other or like the Meta Crisis Doctor. Frankly, I don't understand why people decide to include a Meta Crisis Doctor in there. He's not a real version of the Doctor. And we just don't know enough about the War Doctor or the Fugitive Doctor for me to actually want to effectively rank them, at least for now. At some point, me and my girlfriend are going to probably go back and watch the classic stuff, and then I'll do a full ranking. Should also know that I could include Paul McGann on this list. I could include the Eighth Doctor because I've seen the Night of the Doctor short film episode, and I've seen his brief, cameo in Power of the Doctor. Now, I don't think I've ever actually fully watched. I do remember seeing at least initially the TV movie in the 90s. I do remember it vaguely, but I can't say for certain. I have not watched it in its entirety, so I cannot, I think, in good conscience, rank him as of now. But without further ado, let's get into it. And coming in, we have, let's see here, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Doctors to rank. So coming in at number 7 in last place, unfortunately, it's the kind of obvious pick. It is Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor. So look, watching the 13th era of the Doctor, the 13th era of the Doctor, I will note that for all the problems I've heard come out of Jodie's era, her era really wasn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. At least I didn't think it was. It definitely has problems, and there's a lot of bad episodes. The Timeless Children, and the the Orphan Planet, I think it was Orphan 50 or Orphan 50, whatever it was. I can't remember the name of it. There were certainly bad episodes in that era, and I'd have to re-watch my my ranking list. I did my tier list of it, but I don't know if it made up the overwhelming half of the era. But at the center of the era, apart from the writing, is Jodie's Doctor. Now, look, I don't want anyone who's ranking their doctors or any character really. I don't want to hear bad writing as an excuse. At least not as oh no, we got to give them a pass because of the bad writing. No, you don't have to give them a pass. You can give some understanding and therefore lessen your criticism, but you cannot use bad writing as an excuse for a character just not working all the time, especially when they're the main character. And unfortunately, Jodie just falls victim to this. Jodie, I'm not going to lie too, I don't know if Jodie, who is a good actress, was the right person to play the Doctor. Because the writing around this Doctor just does not make sense, especially coming off of a much higher ranked Doctor later on, Capaldi, and the arc he had originally gone through. It's because you have a character who came off of understanding memory, understanding their place in the world, it's loss, understanding loss, but understanding that, it comes with the territory, and, it's something that you have to deal with. And accepting that, okay, I have to go on no matter what. I have to continue to shepherd that memory. As well as everything else Capaldi went through, all the trauma of the Time War that he was still dealing with. And then to go into her first canon female doctor. And to just not do a lot with that, if we're being honest. I think that's a problem with the era as a whole. That's not a problem with her, but they don't really address the fact that she is no longer a man and the social differences that would bring. And once in a blue moon it comes up, but it's really not focused on a lot. I'm not saying it needs to be the crux of her character, but it does need to be something that's addressed more than a fleeting handful of times. Like, you could have an entire episode dealing with misogyny and all that, where she could, be fighting against social norms and be inspiring someone, and it turns out she's the inspiration for something down the road in history. The suffragette movement. Take your pick. It's only like in the occasional Witchfinder episode, or that you get at least a little bit of it. Or Captain Jack being, says oh, hey, the doctor's a woman now. Ah, that's hot. There's once in a while you get some, but again, nothing really comes to that. Beyond that, though, it's like her character just doesn't really make sense. And again, this is not Jodie's fault. This is the this is the directing and the writing's fault. Because the director and the writer have to really kind of be in sync with each other on these things. They have to understand what exactly they're doing. And sorry if the volume dipped out there. I just had to do something real quick. What they're doing with the character. But Joe, it's like Chibnall, who's allegedly a fan, just read the cliff notes of the Doctor saying, oh, the Doctor doesn't like guns. Okay, the Doctor doesn't like to kill. Okay, but instead of doing that, you have her just do all these hypocritical acts that are just out of line with the Doctor's character. Letting the spiders suffocate instead of giving them a quick and more humane death. Killing a TARDIS, that is stated to be alive. And I've noted that there's an easy way to, I even noted to my girlfriend when we watched it afterwards, there's an easy way to correct this. Say that, just add some lines of dialogue, when she's talking to the Daleks, saying, you've made me do something I didn't want to do, which I would never want to do. And you've made me the monster. And now you're going to understand. And now you're going to remember why you once feared me. And you can see maybe she's like, I'm so sorry. It's like, I don't want to do this. And you could have her just apologize to her, but the TARDIS being like, do it. Let's take these son of bitches out. And that TARDIS and her being okay with it. She's so kind of just not the Doctor in many ways. She's someone fanficking the Doctor. That's what she's doing. This is my fanfiction made-up version of the Doctor, and that I'm going to do. But the writing is like that of fanfiction. It is, in some degree, around her character. She also doesn't have the intimidation factor that any of the other Doctors had. All the other Doctors, when they had to be, could intimidate. Because the Doctor is the Doctor. He is the predator of the Daleks. He is the ender of the Time War. They are the ender of the Time War, I said, but all the other versions are he, so I'm just going to keep saying he. They are the ender of the Time War. They are the one that when you say their name, most sane people be like, they'll go like, what? Hold on, this the Doctor, you said. Or be like, the Doctor, yes, the greatest challenge ever! And then be one up. But no, she just says she's the Doctor, and most people don't frickin' flinch. And there's only a handful of occasions I remember where I am noticing actual Doctor traits from her. Like when the racist in the Rosa Parks episode tries to threaten her, she's like, oh, you can't do it, can you? No, you can't do it. I can that little bit of I'm one-upping you right now. I'm the smartest person in the room. And that's the other problem. She's almost never the actual smartest person in the room. At least she's not portrayed as it. She comes off as surprisingly very unaware of what's going on and doesn't seem to have a very strong clue of what to do about it 5 times out of 10, or at least half the time. It's one of those things where she's she's the hapless doctor. She really is just very unprepared to deal with things. And unfortunately, that's not very engaging for a character who normally, even when they do get in over their head, are able to find a clever way out through their own resources, or occasionally an ex machina from the companion or whatever. So it just doesn't endear me to this doctor very much. I will say, though, that when we talk about ranking regenerations, hers is on the higher end of the list. It's not the greatest, I think, but it is on the higher end of the list. She certainly has moments. She no doubt has them. But also, the whole relationship with her and her companions, calling them fam, and like, okay, yeah, no, stop this. I don't care that she could have had a romance with Yaz. Honestly, having a queer romance, we get that more later with Shooty, and that's at least handled better with Shooty. But the fact that they just shoved a romance in at the very end, I'm like, look, you could have started this in the Flux era, and then you could have moved further on, and then you could have addressed it, the will they, won't they of it all. But also, I don't know. The fact that she's like, no, her rationale is the same rationale that Tennant had for kind of like Rose, but not for a relationship. Just like, you could be with me for the rest of your life, but I can't be with you for the rest of mine. I go on. That was kind of what they were implying with that, but they just weren't handling it well. Apart from the fact that this relationship literally just springs out of nowhere. If I were to literally fanfic myself as just randomly, I would have probably fanficked it maybe I'll do a series of how I would have fixed certain eras of Who. Maybe that's not a bad idea, because there's definitely ideas I have how to fix 13's era. But one of the things I would have probably done is inserted a future character. If you would cast, say, a future Doctor down the road, maybe not 14 or even Shooty, but say whoever you actually had lined up to be, not that you would have, but if you had thought that far ahead, maybe had the future 16th Doctor be a character that starts reoccurring throughout 13's tenure. And near the end, where she's kind of saying, no, I can't be with you, Yaz, this character shows up again, has a conversation with the Doctor, and be like, then stop. It's like, do you love her? Do you have feelings for her? Just say yes or no. Yes or no. He's like, yes, I do. It's like, then why are you being stupid? Yeah. All relationships end. That is the unfortunate truth of life. Everything ends. Everything will go away at some point. So enjoy it while you have it, Doctor. And then maybe Harush and her and Yaz actually do have a kiss or something like that, and have their moments together as a relationship, but it be cut short by the Master. That's something you could have done with this character. As it stands, though, she's just too awkward. She's also the most awkward Doctor by far. She's too awkward. She's too hypocritical. She's too hapless. She is my least favorite Doctor. And again, this sucks because I think she could have. While I think she was miscast, I think in the hands of a much better writer and script, she could have done a lot more. But that's neither here or there. All right, coming in number 6 now. So we'll speed along with some of these because honestly, this is going to be a shorter rant. It's the 14th Doctor, played again by David Tennant. And really, this just comes down to the fact that he was clearly the intermediate Doctor. We just did not get a lot of time with this particular Doctor. Because honestly, the time we got with this Doctor, it was enough to... First off, it was great seeing Tennant back again. What was it? The Wobbly Yonder is just frankly the best of the 3 by far. It felt like just a classic Who adventure. But again, him and the Toymaker were great together. But again, he's really just there to set up for Shooty. And then, Starbase is fine, but it does have problems. I hate woke as a term these days, especially for people who are complaining about stuff. But even I'll admit, I'm like, yeah, you were leaning into what would be considered quote unquote woke a little bit. And you were also just being kind of dicks to this character. That scene where they say is they say, oh, he's moved on. He's moved on upstairs. It's like, he's like, no, you can't walk. I'm like, well, why did you say you were gaslighting him so hard on that? Like, what the hell? And then obviously the whole this is something a single gender or single gendered Time Lord would never understand. Like, I'm sorry, what, wasn't he just a fucking woman? Like, this A, this dialogue makes no sense. B, this really, like, I had no problem with Donna's daughter being trans. I had no problem with that. Trans people exist. They should have representation. And it would make, and honestly, in Doctor Who, this makes complete sense to have characters like this. But some of the dialogue they're using is just like, you're really trying to belabor an idea and a point here that it didn't need to. But with Tennant himself, I mean, I wish we just had more of him, because he's Tennant. I'm not trying to be mean to Jodie, but because he's Tennant playing the Doctor, he's immediately just very charming, affable, all that. But I had to think, what is different about him versus 10? He's got a lot of the mannerisms of 10, but there is a difference I picked up with him in 10. And that with this one, with 14, he does seem more tired. He does seem like he's just seen more. He's experienced more. He is still running. And that's, I think, the point. Like, Jodie's is the one trying to just live her life. And even 11's the one who forgets, the one who regrets is 10. The one who just came off at the Time War was 9, the vet. The one who has to do the healing. Capaldi's is the one who is the angry one who has to do the healing. 13's is the hapless nobody who's trying to move past, who's just trying to forget again. But she's also just trying to live life a little bit, just quirky. I don't know. She's the most nondescript Doctor, I'd say, apart from being the hapless. She's the hapless one. 14 is the one who's running. And they even kind of bring up why they chose the face, is that he's kind of running back, kind of trying to, relive, forget, and try to go back to something that was more pleasant for him. But I still love his chemistry with Donna Noble. They're still fantastic with each other. I just wish we had more of him. Like, I get it was 3 specials. I think you could have gone to 5 or 6. You could have done a Flux, I think, because the Flux is like 6 episodes, right? 6 specials. I think you could have gone that with him, or at least 5. At least 5, and flushed it out about, just giving us a little bit more time with him. But, yeah, I mean, he's still wonderful, but all the other Doctors just have longer runs that we can delve into more. Speaking of which, coming in our number 5 spot, we got Ncuti Gatwa's, Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor. Ncuti's era really has some writing problems, but Ncuti himself is very energetic. He's very lively. He's got far more Doctor moments than Jodie did. I love the fact, too, that Jodie did come in the final episode, Reality War, for about 5 minutes, because the Doctors have interacted with each other before. And it pisses me off that in that 5 minutes, she was somehow, the writing was at least better than what we got in Chibnall's era, and that we saw exactly who 13 actually could have been. And that pisses me off, because she probably would actually rank higher on this list if that's the case. But Ncuti, he's very lively. He's very energetic. And I love that energy. He's very charming and charismatic. I actually kind of emphasize he's very charming. He's very easy with with everyone, like not just the ladies, but with the fellas too. But honestly, apart from that, they don't lean much into anything else going on with Ncuti. Apart from, he's the Doctor who just wants to keep going. He doesn't want to think about the past very much. Like when we get it in Rogue a little bit, where he even says like, yeah, no, I just got to keep moving. That's who I am. Like he doesn't want to stop and think about it. Like he doesn't want to stop and think about all the people he's lost, all the things going wrong. He's just trying to move ahead and do what he thinks is right, and just have fun with his life. But I mean, there are times where this doesn't work. Like that moment of rage in the Interstellar Song Contest. Some people feel it's out of character. And I'd be lying if I didn't say it does kind of come out of nowhere. Especially because everyone did sort of, if everyone had died, or a giant chunk of those people had actually died, I could see his rage making a bit more sense here. But the truth is, he just goes all in on that guy. And while I do like seeing the Doctor's rage, like this is something, honestly, this is not even something Tennant would do, because he's torturing a man. This is not, the Doctor does a lot, can do some bad thing, or, and can act in anger a lot sometimes. Look at Tennant in The Family of Blood. But that wasn't torturing them, per se. Yeah, they are kind of left to be tortured in a way, but that's basically keep sealing them away and making sure they don't get out anywhere, from anywhere. Being stuck in an event horizon, being bound by a chain, being frozen in time, turned to a scarecrow, stuck in a mirror. Technically speaking, he's not necessarily, he is kind of torturing him, but he's not actively doing, he leaves them to their fates. Here, he's actively torturing someone. Like, and that, as much as I do enjoy Shooty, that's not a Doctor thing to do, to torture someone. Most 9 times out of 10, it's not. I mean, once in a blue moon, he might do something that might be equivalent of it, but it's so rare that it's out of character when he does it. So, I mean, there's issues like that. There's the fact, too, that he's the Doctor who doesn't kind of realize, sometimes he doesn't realize he's crossing the line. He actually needs people to kind of tell him he's doing it more often. That was one of the good things about Belinda, where she was kind of calling him out on some of his crap in the beginning. And then she's like, "You're amazing." Whatever. But, yeah. Otherwise, there's nothing inherently wrong, I think, with Shooty's Doctor. The only other thing I might point out is that every actor who plays the Doctor does bring a little bit of themselves into the role, but it's still the Doctor with that energy and maybe some mannerisms of the person playing them. With Shooty, it actually does feel a bit more like the reverse, where this just feels like Shooty having a good time, but also occasionally doing a performance of the Doctor. Either way, though, Shooty is far from bad. It's just that the remaining 9, the original, let's be honest, the core 4 of the revival, all just rank higher. Now, I had to really fight back and forth on who I was ranking in the top 4. And depending on the day, it could change. But as it stands right now, at number 4 spot, I got Christopher Eccleston, number 9. This is the guy who brought back Doctor Who and showed that it could come back and be viable and just restarted an era. The only reason he's probably, and the only reason I'd keep him at 4, and I probably would if I redid this list in the future, keep him at 4, or, keep him high, but just keep him whatever place he'd be at, is just simply we only got 1 season with him. We just did not get an extended, era, an extended story with him. Yeah, he's come back for big finishes, absolutely, but I don't count those, and I don't listen to them anyway. I probably should, but I don't count those. So we only had the original season he has to go off of. But his Doctor is so raw. He's still jovial. He still knows how to have fun, but he's the most current Doctor off of the Time War. And he's the one suffering arguably the most, although that's debatable when we talk about 10, from the effects of it. Like, this is a Doctor who has, doesn't carry a weapon, but the minute, he hears a Daleks around, okay, I got to get a gun. It's like, I got to do it. And it's just that trauma. Dalek, I still think, is the best episode of his run, no doubt, because it shows you the trauma and just what the war did to him. And his relationship with Rose is paramount to his development as a person, his development as a character, and everything and it laid the groundwork for everything that would come later on. Beyond that, though, it does just have this this fun, affable goofball tone to him. Like, I'm not trying to mock the way he talks or anything. He's a fun dude in terms of the way he presents himself. But at the same time, I'll do rankings on like a bunch of Doctor stuff ranking him as, is he the most intimidating Doctor? I wouldn't rank him as the most intimidating, but he is certainly, when he wants to be intimidating, he does have this really hard edge look to him that I like. And again, maybe it's because he's got the leather outfit on, or leather shirt, leather jacket on. Maybe it's the haircut. But I think Eccleston just has this great hard look to him that really helps him out in this role when he has to do those. So yeah, that's my number 4. My number 3 spot, bronze medal, goes to, whoops, not that one. I just did that out of order. So it's not Capaldi. He's a little higher. It goes to 11. Goes to Matt Smith. So once we got to Matt Smith and also Capaldi, we were now starting to get to the point in the Doctor Who era of the new Who Revolver Wars. We've already had 2 Doctors. So now he actually had something he had to live up to, Matt Smith. I mean, yes, Eccleston had the entirety of the backlog of the classic Who, but Who had been gone for a while, so we were kind of starting to slate clean. Here, though, Smith now had to go off of Eccleston and then Tennant, who a lot of people will argue is the best Doctor. He's among most people's favorites. Not necessarily their favorite, but Smith also usually ranks right up there. So he had to endear ourselves to him. He had to make us enjoy him, but also be different from his previous incarnations. And he succeeded. He is the madman in the box, the Raggedy Man. He is the ever, well, how do you put it in the living flesh, rubble flesh? The ever optimist. And you get the impression from that. He is just so lively, so manic. He's the most manic Doctor by far. He's the ADHD Doctor kind of, because he will literally move from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 spots in a span of 10 seconds. And he's arguably between him and Tennant, I think he might be the best at really quick, rapid dialogue. And it just goes to emphasize the hyper-intelligence and analytical capabilities of the Doctor, particularly this era. It's something I think Matt does better than all the other ones. You buy, though, many times over that he is an old man in a young man's body. Somehow he had those really old, soulful eyes I've just seen so much. And his relationship with Amy Pond, with Rory, with Clara, with River, all of that really drives the point home. This is an older character. This is a guy who's seen a lot, done a lot, and man, does it carry home for him sometimes. I do love his side adventures with other characters. I have a soft spot for the James Corden episodes. I do. But I like the fact, too, that he's not the Doctor who can easily just get along with anyone. I think that goes to Tennant. Tennant is the one who can just really just have a conversation with anyone, and they would be, because he's arguably the most charming Doctor. But Smith is charming in his own way, very much. Like, there are people, you can easily kind of charm people without too much difficulty. I think Tennant holds out a little bit better. But what he does hold over Tennant is the fact that he's the one who kind of he can accept certain things more. Like, he's the one who understands, I'm at the end of my regeneration cycle. This is it for me. So I'm just going to enjoy my life while I got it. And, you feel that. You feel that tone with him a lot of the time. Like, this is a guy who is just trying to enjoy everything that he can while he can. I think the only reason, though, that he ranks lower than Tennant and Capaldi for me is the fact that his awkward moments and let's be honest, he has some idiot moments. Like, he just has some straight not understanding how humans work moments. Like that whole thing, what was it, the Doctor, the Witch, and the Wardrobe episode where there's the hammock and there's he just hops in between them and it's developed the fault. I'm like, okay, now he's being kind of dumb. The whole holographic clothing over being naked. And then me say, yes, I believe it's starting to cause some tension. Like he just has moments where I feel like the doctor would be a little bit more socially aware of what's going on here. That's the best way to put it. He is the least socially aware doctor, I'd say. Save for maybe Capaldi, but that's more because Capaldi just doesn't care. He is literally just at that point where he's like, I don't give an F. I've heard some people also point out that he's a doctor who could arguably be most representative of being on the spectrum, possibly representing someone with a form of autism. And I know several people with autism who have said that too. And I would say that's not inaccurate. He would be high functioning, no doubt about it. But maybe because of the lack of understanding certain social cues, you could make that argument. Not to say that, but that's not to say he is either. It's just I've heard people say it both ways. Either way, though, I mean, he's still one of my favorites of the modern era, no doubt about it. But coming in at silver, was it Capaldi? I did spoil Capaldi, obviously, because he was obviously higher on the list. Nope. Number 2 is David Tennant. David Tennant was my favorite doctor up until Capaldi came around. And this just comes from the fact that Tennant is a naturally charismatic individual. He is a huge Doctor Who fan. And what's the best way to put it? He actually understood just how long his tenure should be. He knew when to get out, when he had to get out. Yeah, whatever you say about the last, was it the end of time? His last special. Regardless, he understood the nature of the show. And be like, get out when you feel it's time to get out. But his doctor, immediately when we first meet him, and then later on, he's young, he's excitable, he's got all this energy now. I don't care what anyone says. I enjoy the romance with him and Rose. I do. I buy that he would have fallen in love with the Rose, like straight out. But beyond that, he's both probably arguably the most charming doctor. He's the one who could easily charm you the easiest. He'd have the easiest time doing it. He's the one who can probably honestly make friends among the easiest as well. Maybe 11 could give him a run for his money a bit, but he's the one who can just kind of meet people and just kind of get along with them. He's the most human doctor, though. That's the thing that really strikes me about this doctor, is that with all the other doctors, he really is. He's the one who you feel can live among everyone else if he really wanted to. He's the one who he just comes off as a really clever guy. He doesn't seem alien most times. And there's occasional times where he definitely comes off a bit more alien, but 9 times out of 10, he comes off as the most human and relatable. And I said that Eccleston is the one that comes off of the war. He's the veteran of the war. But weirdly enough, and this is probably because Tennant has just a longer run than Eccleston, you can feel the regret way more and the lamenting way more in 10. When 10 does sad, 10 is arguably the one that it does like just sorrow and pain the best. Debatable though with the number 1. Debatable with Capaldi. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, he's the one who can he's the one that when he is hurting, you feel his emotions the most. And when he gets angry, it is not a loud rage. It is not I'm going to burn this world down. It is, you've angered me, and I'm going to show you why I am the doctor. Like why I choose to be kind. Like he's the doctor, arguably, again, save for maybe Capaldi, that you really probably don't want to mess with, because we've actually seen the consequences of what happened when people mess with him. Even when 11's good man goes to war, we actually don't see a lot of the consequences of, like, yeah, he somehow blew up all the Cybermen ships. But apart from that, we actually don't see a lot of the consequences of what happens when you mess with someone like 11. You see on multiple times what the consequences of messing with the 11th Doctor. So yeah, I mean, he's so charming, funny. He also is the one who, he's arguably one of the smartest portrayed doctors as well. But even then, he makes mistakes. He's also the doctor who I get fear the most. Like he's the doctor who I think portrays being scared the best as well, especially in Midnight. So yeah, I look number 2, and on a different day he could be my number 1. But for me right now, my number 1 is Peter Capaldi. After coming off of Eccleston, the guy who just came off the Time War, 10, who is the hero of the Time War, but the man who regrets. 11, the wild doctor who thinks his time is up, so he's just going to live life to the fullest, who just wants to forget all the hardship, the trauma, and the things he did, and just live his life. You then get to Capaldi, who is the doctor who, let's take the timeless child out of the equation. Who's the doctor who shouldn't exist. Because up until now, everything child, we assumed that the 11th was going to be his last one. Obviously, they were going to figure out a way to save him. So he's the doctor who shouldn't exist. And now that he has had a new lease on life, he needs to know what that life means and what to do with it. He's the one who now is still has to now carry all that experience, all that pain, and now has to confront it. He's the doctor who actually has to deal with it. And man, there are episode arcs where dealing with his past, dealing with Davros, dealing with the Cyber, dealing with the Master coming again, trying to understand who he is. The Zygon inversion speech is still one of the best speeches in Who. I'll probably do a Who speech at some point. Ranking. But this is the man just is exuding pain, but he's exuding regret as well, but in a different way. He's the guy who understands, I've now got to continue this, and I still got to figure things out. And it culminates in episodes like Heaven Sent, where he's dealing with the loss of Clara and so many other companions as well. And, just the determination and the choice he makes to keep going. But before that, what was it? Something a Raven. I can't remember exactly what the name of that episode was, where Clara dies. We see that when this doctor is angry, this is not the doctor. This is arguably the worst doctor you want to fuck with. Because this is the doctor who, like, as he said earlier, yeah, she's my carer. She cares so I don't have to. This is a doctor who, it's not that he actually doesn't care. He's just moved beyond mourning. And because of that, he's the one who can compartmentalize his emotions the best. And so when his anger bubbles comes out, oh my God, do I just love him threatening Ishilda? Because A, I don't like Ishilda very much. And B, man, it shows you just like, it's like, dude, fix this now, or I'll rain hell on you for all eternity. And you're immortal, so I can, and he doesn't say this, and you're immortal, so I can do that. You read the stories about me. You ever read about anyone who ever beat me? Like, yeah. This is the doctor who just has to say a phrase, and he's like, he can scare off anyone. It's like, yeah, you have an index of all kills, right? Look me up. Under cause of death, and just keeps going and going and going and going and going. It's like, yeah, no, we're good. Like, this is the doctor who, that when he is truly angry, I would argue Ted is the only one who can come close to like imitating that true anger. Eccleston definitely has a moment of rage against the Daleks, yes, but we just don't see enough of him. And Eleven's is a lot more colder, but man, you can tell this is a guy who has so much resentment and anger built up that when it comes out, it is not something you want to deal with. But at the same time, he can also be charming, especially in the final season. His final season with Bill is where I think Capaldi truly found the balance with his doctor. Because the one fault I will give Capaldi's doctor, and this comes from the writing, not Capaldi, is there is it's not completely certain where his balance lies in terms of the compassionate side of him, the angry side of him, the cold side of him, the warm side of him. It is very much all over the place. It's not until you get to Husbands of River Song and the beyond that I think Capaldi's doctor finally comes truly into his own. Because there are hit and miss episodes with his doctor, but there's hit and miss episodes with every doctor. So, and it all culminates in that final episode, a final, two-parter, Time Enough at Last and Twice Upon a Christmas, where dealing with his regeneration, the loss of Bill, the importance of memory, and man, look, I still stand. I know a lot of people like Twice Upon a Christmas, but I genuinely love it. Yes, there's some mischaracterizations of the first Doctor, but I can overlook that for some of the best writing when it comes to Capaldi there is. The armistice moment is so damn good. His regeneration space, him talking to the memory versions of Bill and Nardole. It's a battlefield. And then you've all just fallen. I'm the only one left standing. Damn it, he is just so good. He arguably delivers monologues better than any other doctor. Mostly because most of the modern doctors don't get a lot of monologues to begin with. Obviously, you got Rings of Akaten, which is still a great monologue. But man, again, the Zygon inversion, that may be the best one. That really might be. Capaldi just... And the fact that he was an older actor, too. I like the fact that he was an older actor taking on the role. Because the Doctor does regenerate from young to old, to young to young, old to old. He does go back and forth. I mean, you just look at the first Doctor. He goes younger. Then he goes, I think, a little bit older. Then he goes younger again. Goes younger again. I'd argue, I don't remember how old. About the same age. Goes old, roughly a little older, then goes back to younger, then goes back to younger. Well, actually, it goes about the same age. Then younger, then older. Then we go back to young. Then we go back to old. Then we go back to young. And we're kind of in young still-ish. I mean, Billie Piper's now in her 40s, if I'm not mistaken, and she's still stunning. Weirdly enough, Billie Piper, I think, was the most I found Billie Piper the most attractive when she played the bad wolf persona of the moment in the Day of the Doctor. I don't know. I mean, it was her hairstyle or makeup. I don't know. She was just the most attractive. I'm going off topic here, but not to say she's not beautiful still. She is still beautiful, but yeah, I don't know. Something about that one is just that did it for me. But yeah, Capaldi, man, for right now, I would rank 12 as my number one Doctor. But this could easily change. And whenever me and my girlfriend eventually get around to watching the classic Who, when I do a rewatch of a lot of these guys, we'll see what changes. But for now, that's my ranking. What would you say your modern era Doctor Who ranking is? Now, if you want to include the War Doctor and 8 in that, I won't say no. I mean, if you want to include your entire Doctor ranking, let me know on that too. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you guys for the next one. Later.